Welcome back to the Legislative Lounge. It's been a minute, Mike. It's been a minute, man.
I think it's been too long.
I know, right? Like I mean, I can go 2 weeks without listening to us, man. Whew. I feel for y'all in the audience, but thank you for joining us here tonight.
We're sorry that we subjected you to Fox News and CNN and all those other bullshit media forms.
Oh yeah. But I was on vacation and whatnot, so we're back at it, and we do have some good news. Before we really get into the show, a lot of people that's been following us knows that we have a radio show here in the Houston area on Saturdays, typically at noon Central Time. However, we are going to actually be starting a new time slot on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. Now, this week will be more focused on a local election with me interviewing a candidate running for a town mayor of an pretty hotbed area here in this area. But starting next week, we'll go back to our national news, giving you guys all the down low of what's going on. But, I mean, to be honest with you, Mike, there really hasn't been a whole lot going on these last 2 weeks. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, honestly.
Yeah. I just want to apologize in advance. I know you're going to be stuck with the not so pretty one tomorrow. So I feel for you. I'll be back next Tuesday for Radio Debang and Mike.
We have famous friends that disagree with that statement, Mike.
Sure. Listen. We cannot take the advice of one woman. We can't take the advice of any women. They got
one of the most famous women on TikTok.
Women have got us,
but
got us kicked out of the garden, Nate. Can't trust them. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you want a bunch of men? Because Tony said I'm pretty too, and not you.
We can't trust a man who doesn't squat.
But see, I attract both sides. I'm just messing.
But anyway. Yeah, I agree. Not a lot's been going on in the past 2 weeks. There's been a couple things with the Supreme Court, but as far as like real good legislation, I mean, we had the big beautiful bill, but even that was not as exciting.
Right, that was kind of underwhelming because there was a lot of pushback that was already coming back. I mean, it came to a 1-vote passage, meaning that there were 5 Republicans that voted against it, at least. And from the word of what's going on in the Senate, it's not looking great.
The problem is, I can feel for Thomas Massie and his sense that this bill doesn't cut enough.
Right.
However, the amount of good that this bill does, I think, overrides that.
And there has been some movement because I was reading some stuff last week that Mike Johnson's actually going to be pushed this week to take a refocus on more of a direct bill in regards to the Doge cuts, which would probably appease Thomas Massie and a lot of the other people, because even Chip Roy, one of the most MAGA Republicans out there from the state of Texas, voted against it. But you gotta add context to it, because the people are like, oh my God, they just don't care about America. No, it's because they don't believe that there was enough cuts in spending. That was the problem for most of them. I'm not saying all of them, but I mean, even because in the Senate, when we get to the Senate, we talk about certain people like Murkowski, Collins, and all them other yahoos that claim to be Republicans. Well, they have a different reason why they're voting against it.
Yeah, because it's cutting into their paycheck. Did I say that out loud?
Uh-oh. Now, a lot of people, there's been some speculation about this, or I should say outright lies about the actual bill itself, talking about how it only helps the mega wealthy. They put an actual chart of what the reduction of taxes are going to be in there, guys. Like, guys, I understand. It's 1,116 pages. But, I mean, if you use the find function, you can kind of skim through it, and you'll see a chart in there. The top 1% isn't getting a change.
They also said that it makes cuts to Medicaid. But when I went through it, I saw like I think it was 100 billion or 90 billion dollars saving due to making sure that illegal aliens couldn't get
Right,
Medicaid.
and that's part of it. As a lot of people don't understand what those cuts are. It's to people that shouldn't be on the system in the first place. We have people all over social media right now whining about it. I just stitched a lady the other day or yesterday talking about how she has 7 children and a husband that are benefiting from SNAP benefits, right? That has to do with, it's all the same thing. And I'm like, first of all, you shouldn't be making your career out of making babies. Like,
You got a lot of hate for that video.
I know, and I love it because it's like y'all need to start to wake up to this stuff. You have people that literally live off of the system and they have no intentions of actually moving it. And that's
No.
what this bill does is it helps those, because what it was talking about is when it comes to 8-year-olds, right? A lot of people are like, well, if you have a child that's 8 years old or older, you guys don't qualify for SNAP or Medicare, Medicaid, none of that anymore. It's like, that's not true at all. What they're doing, if you actually read it, what they're doing is they're making it to where you have to, just like you would have to get what is that called when you get fired? Unemployment. Jesus. Unemployment checks, right? You get those payments. You have to register each week that you're looking for jobs and then you provide some kind of proof that you're actually doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing with this, because SNAP benefits, Medicare, Medicaid are not supposed to be something that you live off of.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a supplementary income, a temporary income in majority of cases, and there was more savings that it actually required you, if you were receiving Medicaid, you have to get a job if you're able-bodied. I think
Right.
that's beautiful.
And that's the thing, Mike. That's what's getting me the most. The people that I see all over social media or the TV or whatnot doing the interviews, they're all able-bodied people. And so it's like, at bare minimum, y'all could get to an entry-level desk job somewhere. Like, the insurance field is looking for people, but I don't know if y'all are competent enough for the entry level, I guess. But go look for that.
I've seen some people on social media try to compare, like, well, why are they making cuts to Medicaid, but they're not? And they threw this out. Why aren't they making cuts to veteran benefits? Why aren't they requiring veterans to get a job to receive their benefits?
And see, that's what I don't understand. It's like, oh, they're all for the veterans until things like this come up. Because it's like,
well, it's like there's there's 2 different kinds of 100% ratings. You have a 100% non-working rating, which those people that have that absolutely cannot work. Like they are dealing with some huge medical issues. And then you have people that have a combined rating of 100% that are able-bodied that do work. Majority of veterans do not just live off their supplementary income,
right.
because it's not enough.
I just say I've got like, I think
You've seen my paperwork. You've seen
I
how
say
much.
Mike is a pure example of it, but I also have like 3 or 4 uncles that are all veterans receiving benefits, but all of them work full-time jobs too. So I mean, I don't understand their logic of, oh, the Democrats are actually the ones for the veterans, but in all reality, we see them trying to make stipulations and comparisons to here that have nothing to do with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're talking about people that didn't do anything for society, mooching off the system, mooching off the taxpayer. And you're trying to compare them to people that literally put their life on the line for you to live and say this dumb stuff that you're saying.
And regardless if they deployed or they didn't deploy, they subjected their body and mind to a level of stress and punishment that the everyday civilian does not experience.
Right. Simply going through boot camp alone.
I will say I've seen some veterans get PTSD from boot camp. Yeah, that's a little comical, but that's this generation.
Yeah, honestly, that's, Lord have mercy. But I mean, there are so many things with this big, beautiful bill that people are just overreaching on, and you just know that they didn't read it.
Nobody
I mean,
reads.
but the fact is that there are huge people all over social media specifically saying, "Oh, there's no tax on tip. There's no tax on overtime," when they're literally sectioned out just for those particular areas. And then when they actually find that out and they go read it, they're like, "Well, it's just a deduction."
Do you know
It's
what
like,
that means? Like, do you know what that means? That's actually a protection against fraud.
right? Because if anybody could just say half their paycheck, if not most of their paycheck, were of tips, then they wouldn't be taxed on anything.
And people are like, well, there's a cap. It's like, yeah, $25,000 worth of tips.
Nobody's getting 25. Nobody's got $25,000 worth of tips unless you work in some kind of like bougie LA, where all the mega rich people go. But more than likely, you're not working off of tips there too.
You probably make $25,000 off of tips if you're dancing on a pole in a pride parade.
Right?
Happy Pride Month, by the way.
Oh God, no, it is not Pride Month. Like I said it today, I've never in my life seen it to where 11 months out of the year, it is completely illegal to expose yourself to children. But for some magical reason, in the month of June, it's perfectly acceptable to the point of celebration.
Actually, it's quite interesting. We're seeing America reject pride this year.
I know, I'm loving it.
We're seeing there's this lady that went on a rant because Target did not have its usual pride display.
I saw a little bit of that video. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw it.
She said, I went into Target today. They usually have their pride display, but instead they have USA stuff.
Like, it's so funny. Like, there's a trend going on social media right now as well, talking about, they made a song for it as well. You know what I'm talking about, Mike?
I try, I don't have that good of hearing. I'm trying to preserve what hearing I do have left. And every time the Democrats start singing, it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, what is it? It goes, I'm ashamed to be an American.
Oh my
Where I know I'm not safe or something like that. I'm like, then move. Like, why are you here?
Like,
over to Palestine and wave your trans flag. See how that goes for you.
Listen. Go to another country and say that and actively bash your government and see how well that works out for you. Actually, you want to know how much freedom we have in this country? Go to the UK and send a little prayer.
Make just an opinion piece on Facebook. See how that goes for you in the UK.
Yeah. Call somebody the R word.
Oh.
Call somebody gay.
Go up to Canada and misgender somebody.
In Germany, there was a 60-minute interview conducted with lawmakers in Germany. German lawmakers said it's worse to insult somebody online than it is in their face, and it carries a heavier criminal violation because they said the internet is forever.
My words are forever. But see, I got Jesus, so I'm doing good now.
We all know the German lawmakers are a bunch of pansies anyway.
But yeah, I mean, so this month is not Pride Month, guys. It is Veterans Month, and we're going to hold to that, and that is what we are pushing on every single platform, and there are millions of people pushing it along with us. So if you're out and about and you have a social media page, post this all over the place.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that say like May is Military Appreciation Month. But I understand. May is Military Appreciation Month. I understand that November is Veterans Day. But how often do you hear those celebratory events broadcasted and pushed like Pride?
Like this is how much. Right? Grew up in a military family, right? I had no clue May was that.
How many of y'all knew that October's First Responder Day or First Responder Month?
Nope. Didn't know that at all.
It's like nothing's pushed like Pride. And it's not just June. There are several like months out of the year where it's like Gay Uncle Month, Lesbian Aunt Month. Like you can go down the list and see some wazoo stuff. There is nothing patriotic about celebrating your sexual orientation. I do not care who you bump uglies with as long as you are the legal age.
I mean, you ask us personally, we don't personally agree with it, but we're also not going to like come at you about it either.
I don't care if you never mind. I'm gonna stick to PG rated. So I don't care. This is America. Love who you love. I don't agree if it's the same sex, but that's your prerogative, and you got to deal with God when that time comes.
Right. But we're also not going to attack you about it. We're not going to come down on you. We're not going to say you're going to hell for it. Like we're not like that.
And but I don't think there should be some national recognition because of your sexual orientation.
I mean, if so, where's Pride Month or Straight Pride Month? You know,
like yeah. Where's my Hedo Month?
What's next? Pedophilia Month?
That's part of
Pride they're
Month.
trying to push it to like in many different areas. So God only knows.
I mean, based on what I've seen in the Pride parades, you might as well call it that.
It's like I don't understand it. Like why there are states that have made it legal to where you can literally expose yourself as long as you're not sexually gratifying yourself. You can walk around stark naked. Oregon.
I think Oregon.
Washington.
That's San Francisco, I think.
California in general. It's basically the West Coast. I don't know what they're doing out there in the West Coast, but they really need to be like, that is like Sodom and Gomorrah out there. I swear to God.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe there'll be some pillars of salt somewhere.
Oh, Lord.
But
happy Veterans Day to all our military and their family. And also, you know, we just coming off a Memorial Day. We pray for all the families that, you know, lost. And we not only pray for you, but we also give you thanks as the family. Because honestly, you guys make just as much a sacrifice as those in the military themselves. So thank you for your service.
Honestly, as someone who has led soldiers and had to have one-on-ones, you know, with families do make a significant impact in the morale of soldiers. Families make an incredible sacrifice when it comes to supporting their soldier. And their soldier, their Marine, their airman, their guardian, their sailor. Like it's one big family. And like Nate said, we thank you and we support you, and we need more recognition for those that gave everything so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have today. And that includes the families of those.
Absolutely. But moving into a more national portion of the episode here, we do have some news coming out of the Supreme Court where Donald Trump and the Republicans are getting some major wins in regards to some court cases that are continuously being pushed by rogue federal judges to try and hinder the administration from being able to do anything, honestly. And most recently, the Supreme Court allowed Trump to strip humanitarian parole for 500,000 people from 4 different countries. Mike, do you have the list of those countries?
It was, I can pull it up real quick. There, you know, we've had a few things come around the Supreme Court. I'm still waiting on an update. But the countries are Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
Right. Which are the hotbeds for criminal gang activity, which was the entire purpose of the order in the first place.
100%. And, you know, regardless of the political dynamic, the affiliation dynamic, the Supreme Court overall has ruled pretty well, pretty constitutional. Even Ketanji Brown Jackson has been pretty constitutional in her rulings.
Because this ruling was actually an 8-1. And I believe the one that didn't vote for it was actually Sotomayor.
I have, Sotomayor should just go away.
I mean, we all know she's battling some health issues, so I think she's just trying to hang on for 2028.
Like, she's already supposed to retire.
Oh, man. But, I mean, there are some other rulings that were kind of actually dumbfounding to me. Just as of today, actually, the Supreme Court leaves in place ban on high-capacity magazines and some AR-15s. What that means is they rejected to actually look at the case coming out of Maryland, and I believe the other state was Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So there were challenges because those two states were trying to actually outright ban AR-15s and high-capacity magazines, which we all know is an absolute violation of the Second Amendment, right? Shall not be infringed is not a phrase that can be altered or amended in any way. But yet we have these liberal states like Maryland and Rhode Island, which are notoriously blue year after year, always trying to step on that area. But what's interesting is that they refuse to even look at it, which obviously there was a dissenting opinion, and I'm still trying to figure out. It must have been the notorious lady that was appointed by Donald Trump. Her name always Comey Barrett. She is so irrelevant to me as of lately. She must have been that fifth vote because when it come to the actual dissenting opinions, there was Roberts, which was kind of surprising in and of itself, and Alito and Thomas all gave actual dissenting opinions. And then when it came to Kavanaugh, he didn't write the dissenting because but he didn't agree with it as well. But he did give statement to it, so giving us some hope, I guess you can say, into the future. Additional petitions will likely be before this court shortly, and in my view, this court should and presumably will address the AR-15 issue soon in the next term or two. So that was a direct statement from Kavanaugh himself saying that, even though the Supreme Court as a collection decided not to look at this and violate our Second Amendment, they are still holding, the conservatives, I should say, are still holding true to the fact that there will be more challenges that come forward that will put to bed all of this.
100%. And for those that don't know what they mean by high capacity magazines, they mean magazines, or as civilians would say, clips that hold more than 10 rounds. So they either call them high capacity magazines or large capacity magazines. Justice Kavanaugh did say that, like Nate said, there is potentially a case for ARs just because ARs are in common use.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, but it's like we have to be clear about how the Second Amendment is applicable to gun legislation. If it has to do with commerce, selling, you can make regulatory legislation on commerce all you want, regardless of what it is. But the moment that legislation gets introduced where it's limiting you arming yourself with whatever, becomes a problem constitutionally.
Right.
But I've been waiting on some movement in the birthright citizenship case.
Well, I know that I don't know if we got that before we took our break, but yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit about what you've heard, Mike.
So as far as I've heard and read, the justices are hung up, or actually they're focusing their energy more on nationwide injunctions than they are the actual birthright citizenship,
Right.
per se. And reason for that, as Clarence Thomas said, is since the first nationwide injunction was issued in 1963, there has been a rapid uptick, especially in 2025 against Donald Trump. Like there are so many injunctions. It's not even funny.
Right.
Like you have, I think he's at 200 injunctions or something like that. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
But when it comes to birthright citizenship, they have yet to really focus their energy on that. Like I said, it's nationwide injunctions, and it looks like when it comes to the injunctions, the justices, majority of them, are going to side with Trump on that aspect.
I'm seeing that one as a 7-2, maybe an 8-1 ruling again, just like we saw with the other one today.
But it's a combination, right? So that case involves birthright citizenship. So I really see a 5-4 ruling overall. I think the dissenters are going to be Barrett, Jackson, Sotomayor, and probably
Jackson, you said?
Yeah, Jackson, Sotomayor, and there's another one. Kagan?
Probably Roberts.
No, I think it's going to be Kagan, Jackson.
Kagan?
Yeah, Justice Kagan.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I always forget about them.
So I think
never hear their name. So
I think the dissenters will be Barrett, Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor.
I could see that possible, but we'll see with Barrett. But I mean, talking about those injunctions, though, I mean, what I think why it'll be pushed maybe a little bit heavier on the 7-2 type is because the Congress is actually trying to address this themselves because they see it as well as an issue, and it's a bill that's already passed the House of Representatives, and it's been sitting in the Senate for a minute. So it's whether or not John Thune will actually do his freaking job and put it on the Senate floor, but it's HR 1522. It is the NORA Act, which is short for No Rogue Rulings Act of 2025. And it's specifically talking about injunction relief. And what it does is it sets up a panel for any time that there might want to be an injunction going forward. Well, it'll have to go through to a 3-judge panel, and they'll have specific proceedings and rulings on how they actually have to follow the rules about whether or not this actually can be instituted, right? So we aren't going, like, when this is passed, because it absolutely should, then we should, it should pass, because honestly, this is good for both sides in all reality, because now that they're doing it on this side, right? If a Republican or a Democrat gets back into office, I could see all these federal, conservative judges doing the same exact thing to the next one, because it's just a matter of time when a Democrat gets back into office. That's just the way it is. But this right here is something that is absolutely needed in all reality, because you have the judicial system stepping outside of their constitutional jurisdiction and overstepping in areas that they can't, which is the whole reason why the Supreme Court is so torn on this.
Yeah, an example of this would be a fun example that I find is the New York International Trade Court. I don't even know what the hell that is, but they decided that they can, tell Donald Trump what he can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
That's an administrative court. You have no Article 3 power.
Right, and I was just about to get to that. So, for those that aren't aware of what Mike is talking about, I believe it was just last week on like Wednesday or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The court had come out and told Donald Trump, "Nope, you can't do this. The tariffs aren't going to work for you. We're not going to. No. Well, I mean, a matter of what, 12 hours that was reversed, which obviously it was going to be reversed because First of all, Article 1, Section 8 and Section 9 of the Constitution gives that right for tariffs to collect duties, tariffs, and taxes, and a number of other things to Congress. Well, there's a number of pieces of legislation, including the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, that specifically delegates the powers of tariff to the president.
Dun, dun, dun.
The judicial system and judicial branch have never in the history of the United States had any say over trade or foreign policy. So they're quite literally causing a constitutional crisis by trying to do that.
Yeah, the constitutional crisis is 677 judges experiencing TDS.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. They're just slap happy, like, oh, Donald Trump did something, done.
It's and that's exactly why we need this NORA Act to go forward. We need the Supreme Court to step up and say, hey, there is a separation of powers for a reason. You guys have never had the ability to say anything over trade or foreign policy, so you need to knock it off, because now y'all are getting ridiculous. Yeah. Like all the other injunctions, like you have no say over immigration either, because in all reality, immigration is in regards to immigration courts, which falls under what branch, Mike?
The executive. You have Article 1. You have Article 1 judges, which are administrative judges that are employed by the executive branch.
Right.
They're not appointed, but they fall under Article 2, and specifically the Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
No, it's wild to me that people don't recognize the difference between a judicial court and an immigration court. They're not the same thing. They never have been.
This is why I need Congress to make a civics test where,
been saying it for years.
You need to pass a civics test in order to be eligible to vote.
Right. Like don't tell me that that's against the law or anything like that, because prior to 1920, you had to own land to be able to vote. So I ain't about to hear that, that that we can't make that possible.
You needed a vested interest in the United States in order to vote in the United States. And as a free civics test that is issued to you, that you could just go schedule and take.
Do it online or whatever.
I don't know about online. I think.
Yeah, as I was coming down, I'm like, never mind.
I'm really not keen on more similarities or synonyms to election fraud. Speaking of that, you were just telling me about something about fraud.
Right, and that's the thing is that, with all of this, it just seems to be like a cascading avalanche for the Democratic Party. That there's a number of different items we're about to go over. That's just the never-ending, just cascading downwards of the Democrat Party, because they just released another poll, an updated poll for the Democrats in Congress right now, and I think it's down to what, 19% of confidence. Something like that. It was 17 or 19. No, I know it was one of those two. But the fact that, even their own people that are supposed to be voting for Democrats, right? They don't even trust their own people. And they have no leading candidate. Nobody knows the direction of the party. They're all going in like 4 different directions. It's almost like the 2017 Republicans, where we had the Freedom Caucus, the Super MAGAs, and all that. The same thing. But even worse, because even at that time, we knew the direction we were going in. They don't even have a leading candidate right now.
Well, there was an AP News poll a couple weeks ago where it was specified who people think are the leaders of the Democrat Party. And it was like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and Bernie Sanders.
Oh, Lord. And I can tell you right now that there are many people in Congress that do not agree with that.
I support AOC being your leader.
Then you hear the Gavin Newsoms, but a lot of people are starting to call him conservative over in California. And nobody. That's the thing. Nobody knows what's going on with the Democrats. The Democrats don't even know. That's why they're all panicking.
I hope you run AOC as president.
But to make it even further to what Mike was talking about, our favorite old hag, oh God, Maxine Waters out of California, the biggest loudmouth out there when it comes to pretty much anything. She was one of the spearheading people that went after Donald Trump in regards to his whole, counts against campaign finance violations and all that. And
yeah, Nancy Pelosi's twin.
Somebody was slapped with a FEC campaign violation fine. Maxine Waters was caught over several years, stemming back to even 2020, with numerous violations for campaign fraud, ranging anywhere from failure to properly report receipts and disbursements to accepting excessive donations, which is against the law, and then conveniently just, what is it? What would we call it? I want to make sure that I say this correctly. They were irregular, or what's the word I'm looking for? Improper, but even harsher word they use by the FEC, improper cash distributions.
Oh dear.
Oh Lord. And the only question then becomes, cash distributions can't be tracked, really. So where were those funds going, Miss Waters? Because you've been connected to a lot of Antifa activity. You've been connected to a lot of BLM activity that's caused billions of dollars in damage. But it's funny to me that even though that they're literally violating finance laws, right? To be, they call it an error on her side, and yet she's still able to run her raggedy butt through Congress. How is it not like? How are you violating campaign laws and still able to serve?
Kick her out.
She got slapped on the wrist with a $68,000 fine. Like, to us, that's like, holy crap. But to her, that's pennies.
Yeah. She's worth millions.
That's nothing to her. That's probably like it's equivalent. Maybe I mean, she's not worth like big old millions, but she got a nice couple million. So to her, it's probably like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 in comparison to us, right? $1,000, that's a good chunk of change, man. That's a bad violation. But to her, yet she's still able to do all the nonsense talking, threatening people. I mean, this is the lady that was notorious about saying to get in people's face and punch them in the face and be physical in the streets. That was this lady. And then come to find out she's violating campaign laws and yet still able to run for office. Crazy work.
Yeah. It's wild. Democrats complain about, you said it. Democrats will never complain about stuff that they are already doing.
Yeah, the saying goes, what I always say is that the left never accuses the right of something the left isn't already doing.
Yeah, that part.
And it comes true on a daily basis, right? Oh, Lord. But moving into a different direction here, a lot of people aren't familiar with this individual, but if you're in the political scene, you've heard of him. He was what do you call him? A staged, what was that called? Where he went to those school shootings. He was basically in every one of those school shootings across the nation. Crisis actor. There we go. This is David Hogg. He was a crisis actor.
This is who Harry Sisson wants to be.
If you're not familiar with who this is, go look up pretty much any school shooting between 2016 and 2020, and you'll see a picture of him in it. Doesn't matter if it's California or if it's in New York or if it's in Florida or Texas. He's in all of them somehow. But as of recently, he was appointed or voted in as the vice chair of the DNC, right? The actual party affiliation. And it was said that he was removed just last week or a week and a half ago from that because of his excessive campaigning to primary Democrats that are already in office, which I knew was fishy to begin with because this guy consistently calls out individuals that should be primaried for years on Twitter and whatnot. Twitter is his main place. And I knew that there was something fishy about it. Well, thankfully, to Project Veritas, he was actually caught on camera talking to a hidden camera in regards to Biden's inner circle, right? And saying to the camera that there was power outside of the Biden, the individual Biden himself, that was delegating in different areas, which we all knew this, right? We all knew that Biden wasn't the one running the show. And there was speculation on who was. But David may have given us a little bit of more clarity on it. Because what he said during this interview, which you guys can go to Project Veritas's page and watch it, because I'm not going to show their stuff on here, but I've got screenshots of it, so it shows. But the individual that he claims had most of the power in the White House and what was going on, and potentially maybe even using the auto pen, that the notorious auto pen, was an individual that you wouldn't even thought of. You would think maybe Jill Biden or his chief of staff or something. No. It was the chief of staff of Jill Biden, the first lady, and his name is Anthony Burnell. This is an individual that really nobody knows about, and yet he's got power that even David Hogg, who's been to the White House numerous times, has connections directly to the president while Joe Biden was in office, communicating with the White House on a number of times because he was the vice chair of the DNC for a little bit there. And he's saying this to a hidden camera that, hey, this guy had power that nobody knew about.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What are we seeing here? Because the fact that we have an individual that's claiming this individual in the White House had all this power and was actually the one making decisions behind the Oval Desk, the Oval Office. And yet, on the other side, we've been sitting here saying for years that Joe Biden isn't actually running the show. And then we get a little bit more information on the auto pen situation. What are we seeing here, guys? We got to really start asking these questions, because in all reality, the real question then becomes, if Joe Biden wasn't signing these bills and all these executive orders, they're null and void. Everything he did as president, well, he didn't do, I should say, no longer applies.
Jeez.
And that brings into a lot of questions about what is and what is not applicable over the last 4 years. It's the questions that we have to ask. But yet nobody wants to ask them. And yet we have to be the voice, because we know darn well those people up on Capitol Hill aren't going to do it.
Nope.
They're too busy bickering and fighting about a tax bill that should have been passed 2 weeks ago.
Yep. No, nobody trusts Congress anymore. And Nate and I definitely don't trust Congress. So it's on us. We the people. We are the overarching power over the government. And we need to remember that.
And you know darn well we can't trust the media either. We are the media. Podcasts are the media nowadays, which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it wasn't like that.
No. And the reason is because the Smith-Bunts Act was removed, and now you got all these news mainstream media out here lying.
Yep. Legacy media has done so much damage to the human psyche and has caused so much division between Americans that it's almost irreparable.
Right? I mean, the fact that they're out here blatantly lying to the American people on a daily basis, having to print retractions on a daily basis is astounding. Even Fox, and like, this is why I don't even like Fox News. Like, everybody's, oh, they're conservatives, so you only watch Fox. No, I don't. I don't even have cable to watch any of these news sites. So I'd literally have to go to their website to really even see any of them. But it's one of those things that even Fox News just paid out, what, $787 million to Dominion for their whole, claiming that even though what they claimed was true about Dominion machines altering and all this other stuff. But then you have the media literally admitting that they have been manipulating you for a number of years. I mean, we came across this video from MSNBC talking about it specifically. Let's take a look at it though, real quick.
Dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Say that again.
Exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah.
That's their job to control what people think.
That's not what she meant, Nate.
But yet they continuously have these Freudian slips on a daily basis where they're saying the quiet loud parts out loud. I mean, how many times did we catch Biden himself just being a babbling baboon, just saying some of the most off-the-wall stuff that we've been claiming that they've been doing for years?
Not even that. Like, listen, if you have TikTok or you have Instagram, how many times have you seen the collaborative videos of several different news sites saying the exact same thing?
Oh, we don't even need news sites. We have congressional members that do that. There was
we know the script. Yeah, we there. If you ever frequent X and you just start looking at Democrat congressmen, they will pitch the same posts. Every single one of them will say the exact same thing. They're all issued a script.
I know I've shown it before on here, but I was seeing if I could quickly find it. I found some still images of it, but if you go out there and you go onto X and you try and type in like Democrats all saying the same thing or whatever, you'll see a video of, I believe it was 27 Democrats. Some were senators, some were representatives, saying almost exactly the same script that had to do with Donald Trump. Like as if they were given the words on a prompter behind the camera.
I call out my senators a lot, which are Ruben Gallegos and Mark Kelly.
Mm.
And speaking of Arizona, Andy Biggs for governor. Just saying. Anywho, because we need to get Cartel Katie out of there. She's done nothing for Arizonans.
Right.
So, but all it takes is 5 seconds of research. This is what I tell all the leftist, influencers, misinformationers on TikTok. 5 seconds for research.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need. 5 seconds for research. And you'll find the truth.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where you have a hard time being able to believe anybody. So you have to go and read everything with a mind that they're trying to lie to you, because they are. They've been. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's conservative or liberal news. They're all lying to you purposefully. They're controlled opposition.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk, on a different note, who saw this coming? Another COVID-19 variant?
Oh, Lord.
You know what I'm talking about. NB.1.8. You couldn't pick something, else to name it.
I ain't even finna talk. Like, I don't care. I've gotten to the point where I'm just outright blatant with people. It wasn't COVID that killed all these people. It was the treatment that these doctors were giving that killed most of them.
We have congressional hearings where they did a widespread analysis of the autopsies recorded by the CDC, and 73% of those that died were vaccinated.
And
So,
like we said for years, right? If you're a young, healthy individual, don't take this shot because it's going to screw up your entire system, more specifically your heart and,
other organs.
neural system. Good Lord, neurological system. And guess what? They came out with a study not long ago from the CDC, NIH themselves, saying that young healthy men, were seeing a significant increase in myocarditis,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly what we said since that came out. But we're the
Yep.
conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, it's not like me and Nate have had over probably 150 accounts between us for spreading COVID misinformation.
I'm tired of
Let's-
here. Like I didn't think I would get to the point of being tired of saying I told you so, but I'm almost at that point, man. It's like on a daily basis. I told people, I was like, once this blows over, right, and we're past this whole COVID is the big boogeyman nowadays, and we get past it all, you're gonna see it all. You're gonna see remdesivir was the primary killer of everybody. I'm still waiting for that one, right? Because what was the main thing that everybody was dying from? It was multi-system organ failure was the ultimate reason why people passed away, right? Guess what the number one thing is on the freaking box of remdesivir?
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm telling y'all.
The reason that it was not used as a treatment beforehand was because of that. But listen, the only people that have to worry about something like COVID are those that are old or if you're fat. And
or have some kind of like autoimmune disease, yeah.
But you'd also have to worry about the flu.
Right?
Like, hey, where'd the flu go?
Flu making a rampage nowadays. I wonder why that is.
No, it's because you're fat.
No, it disappeared during 21, 22. But, oh, man, did it come back with a vengeance in 23, 4, and now?
Oh, yeah. But it's like, get outside. Go check out Bob. Beautiful orb of brightness.
You live up north? Move.
If you live in a place where it's, Democrats and depression, get a happy light. They have those. Go to the gym. Quit being a lazy fat piece of shit.
Well.
Quit. If you can't afford to go to the gym, do some push-ups. Do some sit down on a chair and stand back up repeatedly. Walk up and down the stairs. Go outside and walk for a while. Listen to the legislative lounge. Just go walk for a mile.
Right.
Go follow me and Nate on any social media site and just go walk for a while. I want you to live a long time. I don't want you to be a fat piece of shit.
Not the words I would use, but yeah, it is.
I don't care. People's feelings need to be hurt. We need to be bullies about this. You are not healthy if you are obese. Over half our country is clinically obese, and like we already have a birth problem. We're not having enough babies. They claim that we're living longer, but as someone who works in the medical field, I see the people that make it, past the average life expectancy or close to it. They're not living good lives.
No, because they're on 20 different medications and can barely move.
It's the 20 different medications and the fat.
Right. So
like your heart is a pump. It can only pump so long and so hard, and if you have copious amounts of visceral fat or subcutaneous fat, your heart's going to give out. And then you're going to start losing toes, maybe a foot, maybe a leg. Then you're going to
lose your vision.
You're going to start looking like Patrick Star, just stumps everywhere.
And this is coming from a formal fat guy. I am now categorized as fluffy on my downway. On my way downward. So I can say this with full confidence. You're just lazy.
I don't think someone who weighs between 215 and 220 can count as being fluffy.
I'm fluffy.
I think Gabriel
my midsection's
Iglesias,
a little fluffy.
I think Gabriel Iglesias would categorize you as
well, he's also like 1,700 pounds, so
yeah,
I'm not
but
really gonna take his advice.
He claims he's fluffy.
That's the nice way of a fat guy saying, you know, I'm just fat.
Yeah, he's not fluffy. He's real.
But yeah, we always push a positive health agenda here on the Legislative Lounge. Get out, move, eat right, stop with the processed crap, and you know, stay away from the inner lanes in the store. Stick to the outside or go to a farm fresh. I know it's expensive, but it's better than dying.
Actually, it's funny. Megan and I grow strawberries, my wife. And we posted a picture. Actually, Megan posted a picture comparing store-bought strawberries to our homegrown strawberries. Mm-hmm. There is a significant size difference, and not in a good way. Mm-mm. So you get your minds out of the gutter. So, and it makes you wonder, like, what are they doing to our food?
Right.
You know, right. Me and Nate talk about it a lot.
All the time. I mean, we could do an entire 2-3 episodes in a row on this stuff.
If you think that me and Nate should just do an episode dedicated to health and fitness, let us know in the comment section.
For sure.
We love that shit. Nate and I eat and breathe health, fitness, nutrition.
Yes, sir. Can big. But again, just a reminder to everybody, our Saturday shows are no longer on Saturdays. They are on Tuesdays. Starting this week, I'll be interviewing a candidate for mayor of a local town, so stick with me on that. But Mike will be joining me next week on our national when it comes to Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. That is on Radio DeBang on YouTube or on Facebook. So definitely check that out. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We love all of you guys. We're going to be on a regular show going forward. Vacation's over, so it's back into the thick of it. We're going to be seeing some movement from Congress this week because they're back in session, and we should start seeing a lot of those trade deals coming down the pipeline because we're in the home stretch now. So, Mike, take us home.
100%. We thank you so much for tuning into the greatest podcast in America. We're sorry that we kept you so long from tuning into us, but we're going to be more dedicated going forward since we're done with our vacations. Remember to tune in to the Legislative Lounge on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, no longer TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Patreon. However, on TikTok, if you like our content, go follow Nate, myself, Natebige, Professor Mike. We love you. God bless.
Thank you.